Okay, so, we live in this world just buzzing with information, right? Constant noise. How is it that some voices, well, they just cut through?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. What
Well,
does it really take for anyone to be heard, like truly heard, and actually make an impact?
and layered on top of that, I think, are the unique challenges, but also maybe opportunities
Mm,
for women specifically in the public square today.
absolutely. It feels like a really critical question right now while we're just flooded with messages. So few actually, stick.
hmm And the ability to communicate well, especially for women who've historically, well, they've navigated some very specific hurdles.
Yeah.
It just feels more vital than ever.
I completely agree. So today, our deep dive is exactly on that. The art and maybe the science too of impactful public speaking, specifically for women.
And we've got a great source for this.
We do. It's a really fascinating guide called The Well-Spoken Woman, Your Guide to Looking and Sounding Your Best. Seriously packed with research, insights, amazing stories too, women who've really mastered this.
Yeah, and this isn't just like abstract theory, right? Our mission here is to pull out the most important practical nuggets of knowledge from this material.
We want to explore not just what makes a woman well-spoken.
But how? How does she achieve it? And maybe most importantly, why does it matter so much right now in our world?
Exactly. We'll uncover some surprising facts, I think, practical tips, really powerful examples that hopefully can help you listening, find and use your voice. Express ideas, create change, achieve your goals.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack this.
So, starting with the unique landscape for women speakers, the guide points out some pretty big initial hurdles, especially it mentions in today's kind of reality TV culture,
Right. It says voters expect candidates not just to be, qualified, but also to entertain, to perform.
which the guide calls potentially dangerous territory for women.
Absolutely. Because, as the book argues, women often have to work much harder just to prove they're serious candidates in the first place.
Whereas male candidates,
Well, they're often just assumed to be both serious and qualified. Right off the bat, it's
oh.
a definite double standard. Adds a whole layer of pressure.
And we really saw this play out, didn't we? The guide brings up the 2008 campaign. Historic.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin.
Totally different philosophies, different styles, but the guide points out they were both disparaged with sexist labels and demeaning stereotypes.
Makes you wonder how much progress we've actually made, and how we perceive women in power.
It's a crucial point.
Yeah.
And it's not new either. The guide goes into the historical context.
Oh, yeah, the history of silencing women's voices.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty stark.
Stark is the word. Think about colonial America. The book says outspoken women were publicly punished, sometimes even tied to a dunking stool.
Unbelievable.
And there's a story of Lucy Stone, early women's rights activist. She was chosen to give her commencement address in 1847.
At Oberlin.
Yes, but the college forbade it, called it a breach of propriety to have men and women on the platform together.
So what did she do?
She refused to let a man read it for her, stood her ground.
Wow. And even more tragically, the guide mentions Mary Dyer and Anne Hutchinson.
Yeah, persecuted, and Dyer was actually executed.
Just for daring to articulate their faith and teach men in public, it really underscores the incredible courage it took just to speak your mind back then.
So given all that history, it brings us to a pretty sobering projection cited in the guide from the World Economic Forum.
Oh, I know the one you mean. About parity.
Yeah. At the current pace, women will reach parity with men in school, office, political power by the year.
Oh,
Wait for it. 4,000.
4,000. Not
Yeah.
2040, 4,000.
It's staggering.
It really is. And that timeline alone just emphasizes how important it is, how urgent it is for women to find and use their voices, like right now, today.
Every voice matters in this long game.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with that context, how do we actually master this craft? Impactful public speaking.
Yeah.
The guide introduces what it calls the 3 V's of communication.
And this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Totally. It brings up psychologist Albert Mehrabian's classic research. You might know it as the 738-55 rule.
Right. The breakdown of initial impact.
Yeah, it suggests initial impact comes from only 7% content, the words,
Only 7.
then 38% from your voice, how you sound,
Okay.
and a massive 55% from the visual, how you look.
Wow. 55% visual. That forces you to think differently, doesn't it? If our look and our sound are that dominant in a first impression.
Right. How do we consciously make them work for our message instead of, accidentally undermining it?
Exactly. Let's dig into that 55% first then, the visual impact.
Okay. The guide is very clear. Appearance counts. It's not about being superficial, it insists, but about sending the right signals.
What kind of signals?
Well, it warns, if the dress is dowdy and the hair last century, the woman and her opinion can be dismissed as outdated.
Ouch. Direct.
Very. And it advises ditching the, quote, body armor, those big-shouldered dark suits like from the movie Working Girl.
Right, that sort of 80s power look.
Exactly. But what's key here, and the guide stresses this, it's not about chasing trends or spending loads of money.
Like the Melinda Gates example.
Yeah. It points out she can't afford to wear anything, obviously, but she deliberately chooses every woman outfits. Why? To make her clothing a non-issue.
Strategic non-distraction. So the focus stays on her message. Makes sense.
And some women actually turn their visual into a real asset. Ann Richards.
Oh, the former Texas governor. Yes.
The guide highlights how she used her silver hair and silver tongue to her advantage. And her hair. That famous Texas-sized Dairy Whip hairdo.
Which men apparently quipped about quite a bit.
She turned it into an icon, even declared an official Texas Big Hair Day. Now that's strategic branding.
That is brilliant. And there are other examples too, right? Of using specific visual element.
It definitely. Bella Abzug's hats, she started wearing them as a young lawyer to be taken more seriously.
Okay.
Sarah Palin's rimless glasses, kind of an update on Gloria Steinem's aviators, the guide suggests. And Nancy Pelosi's oversized pearls or chunky beads.
How do those help?
The guide says they frame her face in much the way a tie frames a man's. It's a subtle signal of authority, a deliberate choice. Creates a memorable presence.
Interesting. So beyond those statement pieces, are there general rules?
Yes, some fundamentals. Clothes must fit properly, not too tight, not too baggy.
Okay, fit is key.
Cover-up is emphasized. Visible cleavage or thighs, the guide warns, can send mixed signals, distract from your message.
Right, keep it professional.
And crucially, be audience appropriate and event appropriate. You can still express personality subtly, maybe with a distinctive jacket or some flattering jewelries, but avoid, say, loud patterns that might distract.
And what about on camera? Especially with HD TV magnifying everything.
Good point. The guide really doubles down on eliminating any visual distraction there. It talks about makeup needing concealer, foundation, powder for a smooth look.
Even for people who don't normally wear much.
It suggests so for the camera. And matte lipstick is better than glossy because it doesn't reflect light.
Okay.
Oh.
Practical tip.
Also, avoiding certain fabrics, black or white, can cause exposure issues. Shiny fabrics reflect badly, and some patterns create that weird moire effect on screen.
Right, that wavy distortion. You see it sometimes, so it's all about a polished, non-distracting visual.
Exactly. Now, beyond clothes and makeup, body language is huge. That's a massive part of the visual, 55%.
So posture, gestures.
The guide describes the champion stance. One foot slightly forward, weight on the back leg, knees loose, projects confidence.
And they work standing or sitting.
It says it's good for both. When sitting, sit straight, shoulders back and down, maybe lean slightly forward from the waist to show engagement.
Okay. And eye contact. Crucial, I imagine.
Absolutely critical for connection. The guide suggests the 4-box play. Mentally divide the room into 4 sections.
Quadrants, yeah.
And make individual eye contact in each one. Hold it on one person until you finish your sentence. Don't do the rapid eye dart thing.
Or stare at your notes or the ceiling.
Oh.
It looks bad.
Right. Makes you seem unprepared or shifty. And hand gestures.
Good or bad.
Can be very good. Use them to underscore points, release nervous energy, start the gesture from the shoulder or elbow for more authority.
And the type of gesture matters.
Yeah, keep them round and smooth, it advises. Avoid karate chop jerks.
Round and smooth, got it. And definitely no fidgeting.
Oh, big no-no. Don't, as the guide puts it, get dressed in front of the audience. No pen tapping, paper shuffling, thumb twiddling. Make your distractions.
Okay. And finally, that very first impression. The moment you walk up.
You can plan that. The guide advises planning your visual greeting. Hold your chin slightly raised. Don't rush. Take a beat to get set or arrange your notes. Maybe cue your slides.
Get down for a second while you do that.
Right. Then look up, find the sweet spot in the audience, smile, give a nod. That nod signals you're about to begin.
It's a small sequence, but it sounds like it sets a confident tone.
Exactly. Sets the stage. So, okay, we've dug deep into the visual, the 55%. But that 7-38-55 rule, the voice is almost as powerful.
The 38%,
Yeah.
yeah. Focal power.
And the guide uses former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan as, like, the gold standard here.
Oh, yes. Her voice was incredible.
They called it the voice of God, right? Booming pipes. But the guide says her power wasn't just volume, it was clarity of her diction and the deep resonance of her sound.
People said it was like the gates of heaven had opened. That's impact.
Incredible. And it shows a powerful voice isn't about shouting, it's about control, quality, clarity.
So how do you develop that? The guide breaks it down, right?
It does, into the 5 Ps of a vibrant voice: pace, pitch, projection, pronunciation, and pauses.
Okay, the 5 Ps. Let's take them one by one. Pace.
Vary your speed. Crucially, avoid talking too fast. The guide tells this story about a lobbyist.
What happened?
She spoke so quickly, her delivery was so rushed and jumbled that people actually questioned her competence based on it.
Wow. Did she realize?
Only when she watched herself back on a training video. Had a revelatory flash, the guide calls it. Imagine seeing that.
Yikes. Okay, so pace matters. Next P.
Pitch. Avoid the Minnie Mouse voice that high, maybe sort of childlike pitch that can really undermine authority.
And the guide connects this to history, doesn't it?
It does. Reminds us that historically women's voices were often deemed inferior to that of a male's. So cultivating a pitch that conveys gravitas without sounding, strident is important.
Makes sense. Third P, projection.
Right. Not shouting, but being heard clearly. If you're naturally soft-spoken, the advice is simple. Use a microphone for groups bigger than, say, 25 people.
And breathing comes into this.
Big time. Improper breathing, not using your diaphragm, hinders projection, makes your voice sound thin or strained. Need that deep breath support.
Got it. Fourth P, pronunciation.
Be crisp and clear, enunciate. Sounds basic, but it ensures you're easily understood and adds to your credibility. No mumbling.
Okay. And the final P, pauses.
Pauses. The guide calls them the most underused technique.
Really? Why are they so powerful?
Think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I have a dream." Those pauses before key phrases, they build drama, highlight what's important. They signal to the audience, listen up. What's coming next is worth hearing.
Adds immense impact. Okay, the 5 Ps, pace, projection, pronunciation, pauses.
And the guide actually gives exercises. Like reading poetry aloud, it suggests an Emily Bronte poem.
High-waving Heather.
That's the one. Reading it and deliberately varying your pace, pitch, projection, emphasizing certain words. It's like vocal training.
Builds dexterity. And what about nerves? Does it offer tips for calming down?
Yes. Simple relaxation techniques. Offstage. Deep diaphragmatic breathing. Walking around to shake off jitters, neck and shoulder rolls.
Things you can do before you go on.
Exactly. And even subtle things on stage. Keep breathing deeply, maybe slowly cross and uncross your legs under the lectern. Consciously drop your shoulders back. Calms nerves, warms up the voice.
Good practical stuff. Okay, so we've covered visual 55% and vocal 38%. What about the remaining 7%? The verbal message, the actual words.
Smallest percentage in that Morabian model, but still vital. And the guide makes a key point right away. If you don't write it first, you won't be able to say it nearly as well.
So preparation is key, even for the words themselves.
Yes, and it stresses that speech writing is different from academic writing. It's written not to be read, but to be heard.
What's the difference?
A speech needs to make sense to someone just listening without seeing the text. The structure has to be super clear. Spoken words vanish. Right?
Good point. So the speaker provides the clarity. And storytelling is big here too, isn't it?
Huge. Storytelling with a clear point of view. The Melinda Gates example, again telling the story of kangaroo care for babies.
The skin-on-skin contact.
Yeah. That personal story makes her message about global health so much more powerful than just reciting stats.
It connects emotionally.
And the guide calls strategic messaging storytelling on steroids. Packaging ideas into an accessible narrative that defines a problem and offers solutions. It's about having a point of view.
And avoiding jargon.
Definitely. It warns against corporate speak and dense, incomprehensible language. Uses the example of climate scientists sometimes struggling to explain greenhouse gases clearly. Keep it relatable.
So how do you organize those ideas? Is there a tool?
Yes, the message map. It's a way to boil down your message to 3 or 4 main themes. And it suggests applying Monroe's motivated sequence.
Ah, the classic persuasive structure.
Right. Frame the problem, present solutions, motivate action.
And framing the problem effectively is key.
Totally. The guide gives the anti-smoking example, how advocates successfully framed tobacco companies as targeting kids with Joe Camel.
That was incredibly effective messaging. Changed the whole debate.
And the actual words you choose, the terms of expression, matter hugely. They influence feelings.
Like escalation versus surge for troop movements in Iraq.
Exactly. Surge sounded temporary, impactful. Escalation sounded like getting deeper into a long conflict. Word choice shapes perception.
Powerful stuff.
Well,
what about humor?
Vital tool. The guide quotes Liz Carpenter, who worked for LBJ and Ann Richards. Start with a laugh, put the meat in the middle, and wave the flag at the end.
I like that structure.
Right. Humor builds a bond, shows you don't take yourself too seriously. Self-deprecating humor, insider humor can work well.
And Ann Richards again.
Oh, her classic line about George H.W. Bush. Poor George, he can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth. Just legendary political humor.
Okay, so humor helps. What else for the verbal message?
Repetition. It is never enough to say something once, the guide states flatly. Repeated delivery is mandatory if you want to motivate or persuade.
How do you repeat effectively without being boring?
By making sure your core message hits the 5 C's. Clarity, connection, compelling, concise, and continual. If it's got those 5, repetition works.
Clarity, connection, compelling, concise, continual. Got it. And openings and closings.
Absolutely crucial. Bang up openings, strong closings. For openings, maybe pose a question like Sylvia Earle does.
The marine biologist.
Or share a personal story like Sarah Brady on gun violence after her husband was shot. Or use humor like Carly Fiorina.
After she was fired from HP.
Yeah, she started a speech with my fellow job seekers. Brilliant way to connect.
That takes assets and closings.
Summarize your main points. Revisit your theme powerfully. The worst thing, no conclusion at all. Leaves the audience hanging. Need that sense of completion.
Right. Brings it all together.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to preparation and mindset. A concept that really jumped out at me from the guide was pre-planned spontaneity.
Oh yeah, the Elizabeth Dole example.
Exactly. At that political convention, stunning yellow suit, walking the floor, mingling. It looked so natural.
But it wasn't just off the cuff.
Not at all. The guide says her talk show delivery style wasn't an 11th hour decision. It was a well-rehearsed, choreographed routine.
Finding that balance between being too scripted and totally unprepared allows for that seemingly natural engagement.
Which comes back to practice.
Huge emphasis on practice. It is imperative that you rehearse by practicing aloud, not just reading it silently in your head. You have to hear it.
And record yourself.
Strongly recommended.
Yeah.
Audio or video. And then this is key. Review the tape critically.
Why is reviewing so important?
It helps break through cognitive dissonance, the gap between how we think we sound and how we actually sound. Like that fast-talking lobbyist.
Who only realized it when she saw the tape.
Exactly. The goal isn't rigid memorization, but deep familiarity with the flow, so you know it well enough to be flexible.
Okay, practice is key. What about mindset? Visualization.
Powerful tool. The guide defines worry simply as negative visualization.
Oh, interesting framing.
So instead, develop a mental blueprint of success. Envision the whole thing going well, from arrival to the applause, and on a high note in your mind.
Train your brain for success. And the guide also mentions some common illusions to overcome.
Yes, 3 big ones. First, the imposter illusion. Feeling like a fraud.
Tina Fey talks about this, right?
Right. Yeah, vacillating between extreme egomania and feeling like I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
The advice is basically to ride the good feeling when you have it and just push through the fraud feeling when it hits.
Acknowledge it, but don't let it stop you.
Mm.
Okay, what's the next illusion?
The expert illusion. The feeling you have to know absolutely everything before you can speak on a topic.
The pressure to be perfect.
Right. And the guide notes, interestingly, that men are often more willing than women to fake it and learn as they go. So the advice is don't overcram, don't turn down opportunities just because you don't know 110%.
Good advice. And the third illusion.
The egotist illusion. This is for people who are skilled but get complacent, thinking, why rehearse when I'm already good?
That sounds dangerous.
It breeds arrogance, the guide says, limits improvement. Watching yourself on video, it notes, can be a humbling experience that cures this pretty quickly.
I bet. So all this prep, mindset work, what's the ultimate point?
Courage, really. The guide brings up Eleanor Roosevelt. Started out extraordinarily timid, terrified of public speaking.
Hard to imagine now.
But she learned, in her words, that courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it is easier. She became such a powerful voice.
Wow. That's inspiring. Okay, so you're prepared, you're feeling courageous, now you're actually navigating the public arena.
Mm-hmm.
What about practical logistics, things going wrong?
Oh, yeah. Anticipate problems, check for noise cell phones, construction outside, extreme temperatures in the room, weak sound systems, faulty equipment.
Like those PowerPoint clickers shaped like donuts. That was a specific mention.
Right, who knew? But the core advice is arrive early, test everything, and always have a plan B. like note cards with your outline just in case the tech fails.
And it mentions that terrible PowerPoint slide example.
Oh, the Afghanistan strategy slide that looked like a huge bowl of spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah, definitely want to avoid that kind of visual chaos.
For sure. Okay, what about interacting with the audience? Q&A.
Plan for it. Advise people when you'll take questions, how microphones, written cards, ask people for their names and affiliations.
And manage the time.
Yeah, limit it. Maybe 15 minutes is usually enough, unless it's a really hot topic. Then plan for longer.
What if nobody asks anything? That awkward silence.
Huh. Yeah, that can be deflating. The guide has a clever fix. Lead off with your own question. People often ask me if. Or plant a question with a friendly colleague in the audience beforehand.
Sneaky, but effective. And if you get a hostile question, a perturbed questioner.
Key advice. Don't judge. Don't react emotionally. Stay composed. Losing your cool just shifts the focus and makes you look bad. Keep it professional.
Okay. Now, switching gears slightly.
Yeah.
Dealing with the media. Reporters. That's a whole different challenge.
Totally different. And the guide's advice to interview the interviewer first is brilliant, I think.
What should you ask them?
Is it live or taped? What's the specific topic angle? What kind of show? Is it a shouty food fight show or a thoughtful roundtable? What's the host's style? Barbara Walters is very different from Chelsea Handler.
Good point. Knowing the context is key.
Ask who else is on. Maybe ask to go first so you can frame the debate. And always, always ask for the questions in advance if possible.
And the big warning.
An interview is not a conversation. Remember that. Skilled journalists are experts at getting sources to relax and say more than they planned.
They might act like a sympathetic friend.
Don't fall for it. Their job is to break news. Stay on message.
What about ambush interviews? Like a camera crew suddenly appears.
The guide has a specific MO. Be friendly, polite. Do not answer questions on the spot. Calmly disengage, walk away. Then decide later how or if you want to respond. Control the situation.
Maintain control. And avoid foot-mouth disease.
Oh, yeah. Loose lips sink ships, especially now with social media everywhere. And saying no comment, usually a bad idea.
Why?
Makes you look guilty as charged, the guide says, or like you're hiding something. Better to strategize a real response, even if it's brief.
Okay. What about dealing with troublemakers in the audience? Hecklers, time abusers?
Madeleine Albright example is great here. Faced rowdy demonstrations, chants about Iraq policy during a town hall. What did she do?
Kept her composure, stayed on message.
Exactly. Avoid reacting emotionally. That applies to aggressive hecklers, but also time abusers. People who come late, leave early noisily, don't let them throw you off.
And there were examples from women in tough fields.
Yeah, Roxanne Rivera in construction, dealing with crude behavior. Her response, a firm, direct, that is unacceptable, shuts it down.
Doesn't escalate, just sets a boundary.
And Stephanie Shryock, working for a senator, making pragmatic calls, sometimes joining in with the guys, sometimes taking offense, depending on what she needed to achieve in that moment.
Strategic response again. And what if someone's just a know-it-all in the Q&A?
Great tactic from the guide. Share a relevant personal experience. It's really hard for someone to argue with your lived experience. It can disarm them and shift the focus back.
Smart. Okay, let's wrap up with the final section. Building a sisterhood of support. This feels really important.
It really does. The guide emphasizes the power of the simple "atta girl." If a colleague gives a great presentation, tell her right away.
Why immediately?
Because she might be so focused on her nerves, she thinks she bombed. Deserved praise works wonders, the guide says, for building confidence. And if she did stumble, help will put it in perspective. Don't let her dwell on it.
That's great advice. But the guide also touches on the flip side, right? The internal criticism.
Yeah, the mean girl comments. It cites Celinda Lake, the pollster, saying women voters judge women candidates much more harshly, especially on appearance.
And gave that example of one legislator dissing another's speech skills.
Saying her stump speech skills just suck. That kind of tearing down from within your own team is so damaging.
And it's not just internal criticism. Overt sexism is still out there.
Definitely. The guide shares a personal story, someone yelling, "Why don't you smack her?" during a mock interview training. Shocking.
Horrible. But there are groups fighting this.
Yes. Organizations like Name It, Change It, And the Women's Media Center are actively working to combat sexist media coverage and support women's spokespeople. There is pushback happening.
That's good to hear. And women are building their own support networks, too.
Absolutely. Shirley Bloomfield, CEO of a telecom association, building global WM for women in that industry, creating a safe environment for networking, providing training, exposure.
That little extra push that can make a difference, creating those spaces.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful message here comes from Ann Lewis, Hillary Clinton's advisor,
What does she say?
that women need to stop measuring themselves against perfection and against the competition. Her advice is profound. Once you are in the room, recognize that you belong there. You don't have to take a test every day. If you are there, you belong there.
Wow. Just internalizing that alone could be transformative for so many women. You belong.
It's huge. And part of that confidence, the guide suggests, is learning to simply accept praise gracefully.
Instead of deflecting.
Right. Shirley Bloomfield shared her journey from joking it off to giving everyone else credit to finally just being able to acknowledge approval.
Wow.
Simply saying thank you. It's an act of self-respect.
Owning your success.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. What does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, we've seen how these well-spoken women, Barbara Jordan, Ann Richards, Melinda Gates, how they connect, how they create change. And the point isn't that you need to become some famous orator.
No, it's about, as the guide says, bringing her best self to the stage, whatever your stage is, and making a real, genuine connection with people.
That ability to articulate your thoughts, to advocate for what matters to you, it's not a luxury.
It's essential for influence, for leadership, for actually shaping the world around you in ways big and small.
And the guide leaves us with a really powerful closing thought and notes that Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, made women's progress central to U.S. foreign policy.
Her quote is striking. The world cannot make lasting progress if women and girls in the 21st century are denied their rights and left behind.
So that brings the final question back to you. Do you want to speak for yourself, or are you going to depend on someone else speaking for you?
What will you do? What steps will you take to make sure your voice and the voices of other women are actually heard in the conversations that matter most?